Hello, I'm Kamali, taking you through the stories people are talking about and sharing around the world on NewsFeed today. After 8 months in an Israeli prison, Ahed goes for ice cream. We look at how this teenager became a symbol of Palestinian resistance. We'll tell you what happened to the photographer who took this sweet snap of a young couple in Bangladesh. Spoiler alert, it didn't end well. We go to Istanbul's Grand Bazaar to see how game theory might explain how traders there do business. And Good Doggo goes pro, it's Monday's Animals Doing Stuff. On top of our newsfeed, Ahed Tamimi, the Palestinian teenager, became a globally recognized figure of resistance after a video of her slapping an Israeli soldier went viral. Now, after 8 months, she's been released from prison and she's as defiant as ever. And what was one of the first things she did? Go for dessert, of course. Sarah has the story.
On Sunday, Palestinian activist Ahed Tamimi returned to her family home in the occupied West Bank village of Nabi Saleh after 8 months in an Israeli prison. She celebrated her release with ice cream. Ahed was sentenced in March for kicking and slapping an Israeli soldier outside her home during an incident in December. She was just 16 years old when she was detained.
I missed going out with my friends. I missed sitting in my room. I missed seeing the sky, the stars, the moon. I missed doing lots of things while in prison. The prison is very tough. It gets you to think as if your life was just a dream.
Her sentence sparked international condemnation and a social media backlash. But some in Israel think her treatment was too lenient.
I think Israel acts too mercifully, is too merciful with these types of terrorists and others. Israel should treat harshly those who hit its soldiers harshly.
The Tamimi family has been known for years for protesting Palestinian land seizures by Israel and have physically tried to stop Israeli troops from arresting family members. Before the incident that led to her arrest, an Israeli soldier reportedly shot Ahed's cousin Mohammed Tamimi in the head with a rubber bullet during a scuffle. And Ahed's brother Ahed Tamimi remains behind bars after he was detained without reason in May. In 2012, Ahed won Turkey's Hanzala Courage Award for her acting. But she's not the only famous young woman in the Tamimi family. Her cousin Jana has made headlines as the youngest journalist in the West Bank, reporting directly from the field. The Tamimi family has received support from around the world. Artists painted Ahed's face on the Israeli separation wall in Bethlehem. One of them wrote on Facebook that she was briefly detained by Israeli soldiers on Saturday, and her equipment was also confiscated. Ahed says her experience has only strengthened her resolve.
My plans for the future? To continue my studies in the university and study law to raise my country's cause in international forums, and to speak about the prisoners' case to the whole world and in the international courts.
Let's take a look at what else has been trending on social media. Now, the killing of a polar bear in the wild has upset loads of people. The animal was shot by a polar bear guard, that's a cool job, for a cruise company. The bear had attacked a guide leading a tour party on the Svalbard archipelago, and the internet went nuts with tweets like this. The humans 100% caused the awful situation. Tour operators should not be permitted to take anyone to an area known to be a polar bear habitat with or without an armed guard. The poor polar bear was killed because it was defending itself. And a sidebar to the story, there are now calls to boycott the cruise company who put the tour on. This lovely photograph taken at the University of Dhaka in Bangladesh has been shared thousands of times, but the photojournalist who took it has been attacked and sacked from his job. Jibon Ahmed was criticised by conservative bloggers who called the image indecent, but he says he sticks by his art and that a twisted sense of morality won't dictate his work. And this is the Obamas getting their dance on at the J&B concert in Maryland. There they are in back. The video was posted to Instagram by a fellow concert goer and has been watched millions of times online. And if you're wondering what the song is that they're shocking out to, it's N-Words in Paris. Now, President Trump trumpeted his business acumen to American voters during his campaign, and now he's in office, he's made some big decisions about how the US trades with other nations. But in an ironic twist, some of his campaign merch is now being made in China, and you know how he feels about China.
If they add tariffs, ordinary people like us won't have any profit margin. It will be taken away by the state. Of course, we hope it doesn't happen.
China, 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 China now, China, China, you know, China.
Trump's tariffs targeting China will have some effect, but we're not worried at all since we're producing foreign flags every single day.
Now, the Grand Bazaar here in Istanbul is a haven for haggling, buying bits and getting bullied into buying bits you probably didn't want. Now, if you've been before, you'd have seen that many shops sell the same stuff and they all seem to be clustered together. The reason? Something called the Nash equilibrium. Didem explains.
This is the Grand Bazaar, one of the oldest covered markets in the world. It's home to over 3,000 shops, with visitors all over the world haggling with shopkeepers to get the biggest bang for their buck. When you look around, though, you may see something familiar. Stores selling the same product, all bunched together: jewelry, fabrics, furniture, carpets, leather goods, and clothes. Now, how do they all make money? Don't they steal each other's business? Well, not really. There's something called game theory, and it's supposed to help people understand why humans make certain decisions. And its explanation goes something like this. Let's think about two ice cream carts that are on a beach. We can think of the beach as a straight line that goes from one end to the other. If the two ice cream carts are spread out evenly across the beach, the one on the left will get all the customers on the left side, and the one on the right will get all the customers on the right side. So each ice cream seller wants to be closer to more customers, and the way to achieve that is moving closer to the middle. When the cart on the right moves closer to the middle, it steals the other ice cream seller's customers. Now it has more than half of the sales. The cart owner on the left considers this situation and moves to the right, regaining some of its customers. Ultimately, they both end up at the center of the beach, which makes them equally close to all the customers on the beach, so they split them evenly. None of them will want to move away from the center. This is the reason why businesses cluster next to each other. Everyone wants a central location to be close to as many customers as possible. The economic ideas that gave rise to the cluster are different than the ones that keep it going. Trade in the bazaar until the mid-19th century was characterized by indifference to profit. The reason for this lies in the guild system. Guilds provided a safety net for merchants by buying and equitably distributing raw materials to their members. They protected consumers by setting price limits and imposing quality standards. So, the merchants back in the day didn't have the incentive to get as many customers as possible, unlike the ice cream sellers on the beach. The location for each type of merchandise was established in the early days of the Grand Bazaar. Through a gradual process, shops of traveling merchants evolved into permanent locations. As the number of shops increased, a cluster formed. The guild structured and stabilized these locations. When the guild system disintegrated after 1865, shopkeepers in the Grand Bazaar gained more autonomy over what they could sell and where. However, However, you can find the same goods today in the bazaar you would find 2 or 3 centuries ago, demonstrating both the changing character of the bazaar and the persistence of certain clusters despite forces of change.
Time to go around the world now for some other stories you need to know this Monday. These hikers are among 500 people stranded on the side of Indonesia's Mount Rinjani after an earthquake hit there on the island of Lombok on Sunday. The quake killed 16 people and injured more than 100. There have been more than 100 aftershocks too. This is the Car Fire in Northern California. It's one of 8 wildfires that are burning in the state at the moment and has killed at least 6 people. Now, it's not unusual for there to be wildfires there at this time of year, but these may be the worst the area has seen in some 10 years. Protesters have shown their anger in Australia after a court there found that the death of an Iranian asylum seeker was preventable. Hamid Karzai died in a hospital in the city of Brisbane in 2014, but the state coroner has found that he might have lived had the people holding him on the Manus Island detention facility noticed he had developed sepsis from a leg infection.
I'm satisfied that if Mr Karzai's clinical deterioration was recognised and responded to in a timely way at the Manus Island Regional Processing Centre Clinic, and he was evacuated to Australia within 24 hours of developing severe sepsis, he would have survived.
Polls have opened in Zimbabwe in the first election in decades where Robert Mugabe is not an option. But the former president has had his say, claiming he will not support the party he led for more than 30 years, ZANU-PF. Mugabe has said he'll back the opposition candidate, Nelson Chamisa, from the Movement for Democratic Change. Harvey Weinstein is claiming on his insurance to cover his millions of dollars worth of legal fees as he fights allegations of rape and sexual assault. But the insurance companies are refusing to pay up, saying they're not liable for, in their words, such blatantly egregious and intentionally harmful acts. Weinstein's lawyers say the insurers are unfairly siding with his accusers. Aziz Ansari will make another season of Master of None for Netflix despite allegations of sexual misconduct made against him last year. A blog post accused Aziz of acting improperly on a date. He's since apologised to the woman involved and no criminal charges were brought. Now, it's a thing dating back more than 400 years, jumping off a bridge into ice-cold water in Bosnia. And this year's Mostar bridge jump lived up to the promise.
It's about having a heart and love for all the divers for Mostar. For everybody who loves diving, it means having a heart and love for Mostar and the old bridge.
This is my 12th victory. I've been competing for the last 19 years. Each new victory is dearer than the previous one.
All right, let's start off the week with a solid animals doing stuff with video of this dog giving everyone the runaround while holding a GoPro in its mouth. Now, it's been viewed millions and millions of times and goes to show it doesn't take much to entertain the internet. But it is Monday, so enjoy. That's all from the NewsFeed team. Reach out to us with your questions, comments, complaints and suggestions. I'm at Kamali Melbourne. You'll find us 24/7 on Twitter, YouTube and Facebook. Follow, subscribe and add. See you again tomorrow.